For over a decade now, men ask me how they can start meeting women in the real world. And they try, and they seemingly can't do it. They're afraid, they're nervous, and they can't find a way to actually get out. And there's a solution staring them right in the face that they usually don't take, which is to find a way to go out with their friends, whether it's their guy friends or girlfriends, to go out and meet people together. When I ask them about this, their first response is almost always, well, that's weird. Or like, oh, I don't want to do that. That seems like strange to ask them. If you're thinking like that, you're already losing out on some great opportunities to be able to be social. The best nights I've had in my life at times are with friends, going out to different activities, events, parties, and going out and having a good time together. The first thing you need to understand is it's not weird. Okay, look at women. They almost always go out to social gatherings with other friends, right? It's very rare that you'll see a woman go out alone because they know that if they're going out with their friends, they're going to be in a much better headspace. They're going to be able to do this together so they feel like they have the support. And no matter what happens, they can always just go back to hanging out and having a good time together rather than when you're alone. It's really hard not to get down on yourself or demotivated. Just having that group around you makes things infinitely easier. Of course, you don't need them. I've had great nights out by myself. I don't think practically there's much of a difference of like going up and walking to someone alone or with friends, but mentally it definitely feels a lot easier for most people. And you might think it's weird because you're framing it the wrong way in your head. If you see it as like, I'm going to like talk to my friends about how to pick up women, then of course it's going to be strange. But you need to see it as just wanting to be social and put yourself out there and meet new people. And it's okay if it happens to be women that you're also attracted to, but you're not going out to pick up women, you're going out to connect with human beings like we all have done for thousands of years. Just because we've done online dating for the last 20 years does not mean that meeting people is suddenly out the window. Less than 30% of couples are from online dating, they're meeting somewhere in the real world, and maybe you think you're the weird one because you're the one who's trying to like do this, but guess what? All your single guy friends also want the same thing deep down. I bet you if you sat around and asked them, hey, listen, do you like see women out in your daily life or when you guys go out that you'd love to talk to? The answer is almost always yes. We all want to connect with people. Just a lot of your friends and maybe yourself just don't know how. So somebody needs to take that initiative to be the first one to put themselves out there, and then the other people will start to follow. If you don't believe me, go talk to your friends and ask them how many times in the last year, well, maybe now with the pandemic, but in general life, do they wish they'd be able to talk to that beautiful woman who walked by them? A lot. Well, then how do you get started? The very first way is to consider if you have any friends who are already social and are more comfortable being extroverted or meeting people, or they get out a lot, or they have a larger social circle of friends. This was really helpful for me, especially going into like through high school and the end of college, where I had one or two friends that were way more social than I was. And they had already been doing these things. They'd already been talking to people and mingling and inviting others out and setting up activities. And all you have to do is go up to them and tell them what you really want to accomplish. And maybe sincerely praise them for something that you want to be able to do. So you walk up to them and you say, hey, listen, I notice that you get out a lot and you're really comfortable talking to people. I'd love to be able to do that. And I'd especially love to be able to do that meeting a girl. And I was wondering if, next time you're going out or you have that event or you throw one of those parties, if you can maybe take me under your wing a little bit and talk to some people together. And if they're your friend and they care about you, they almost will always say yes, and they'll be excited about it. When I came to my friends from this position, especially the ones who are already comfortable with this, they were like, yeah, of course, man, come out, let's hang out. And they want to share that experience with you. Now, obviously, if you don't have friends like that, I talk to a lot of men who their friends are like them. Maybe they're a little bit more introverted or socially shy, or they tend to do like things where they chill at somebody's house and just play games or board games or whatever, but they don't get out much. This is where we're going to have to be a little creative. So the first thing is, I still want you to come to them from a place of humility and vulnerability. We all want to be able to do this, but it challenges our securities. So the mistake that I see a lot of men do is they go to their friends and they start like talking about how they want to be like good with women and yeah, man, I'm going to get out and I'm going to start learning this stuff and I'm going to start talking to girls. And they come from a place of like almost bragging or arrogance. And that's going to challenge a lot of your friends. Or sometimes it encourages them to like poke fun at you because you feel like you're coming from a place of being better than them or maybe judging them for it. And that's going to set things off on the wrong tone. Instead, I want you to go to some of them, okay? And maybe it could be before you guys go out sometime, or if you already are out in an existing environment where you can be social, just go into your friends and say, hey, listen, I want to be honest with you. I've been thinking a lot lately that I really want to get out more. I feel like I don't put myself out there enough. I'm not as social as I want to be. And I just want to get more comfortable talking to people and maybe, to be honest, talking to women because I don't want to keep doing the online dating thing or because I want to be able to actually interact with people and start building more of a life for myself here in the city. And you're again coming from a place of humility and showing vulnerability. Whenever you're in that position, not like begging or you're sad and self-pitying, but you're just being honest about how you felt and how you want to change, then they start to empathize and say, hey man, that's great. And yeah, or they can connect to the same feelings themselves. And they're like, are you kidding me? I'd love to be able to do that. So you're starting from a place of this is what I want to do for myself. Not like I'm better than you or I'm going to do it and you guys aren't, or pressuring them even at this point to start doing it. Just telling them how you feel. Most of the time, that's still not going to immediately make your friends ready to join you. They're going to say, hey man, that's great, more power to you or whatever. So at that point, you probably have to try to take some initiative on your own, even a couple of times. We all often need a leader to inspire us. So if your friends are just as nervous as you are, somebody has to be the first one to take that shot. If you can find a way to muster the courage, especially let's say you go out, you guys are at an event or activity, and even if you don't get it perfect and you don't hold a 10-minute convo, but you can just walk up to a group of people or two, introduce yourself and maybe talk for a couple minutes and then come back to your friends from the outside are like, oh my God, Matt is actually doing this and talking to people. That's so cool. Or they're inspired or they're like, whoa, how'd you have the guts to do that? Now it plants the seed of all right, you're not just talking and this isn't some pipe dream, but you're going to do it. And now they're thinking, well, maybe I could do this, or maybe we could do it together. What you'll notice is when you do it a few times on your own and you come back to your friends and you're not bragging about it, or again, you're not judging them for not joining you and saying, come on, guys, what are you scared? They're going to actually start to be curious and they'll start reaching out to you to see if they can join you, similarly to how you would join your friend that's already social. And this has happened a lot of times where I started work on myself and all of a sudden my guy friends caught on. They're like, hey man, I'm seeing you do all these cool things. Could you kind of teach me, or could you show me a little bit? And then at that point you're like, yeah, of course, come join me. And again, I think take them under your wing a little bit where you say, yeah, let's go talk to another group of people. Come join me. I'll start the conversation. So you take as much pressure off of them to kind of get started and join you. Then you guys go up, you talk to people, you have a good time, you laugh, you finish the conversation, you high five them and you're like, dude, that was awesome. Thanks for joining me. You show them genuine appreciation and you're creating this cycle of, I have my boy here. We can do this together. It can be fun. We're supportive. And now you guys are going out and challenging yourselves to do this together. If you're finding it tough to take even those one or two initial first conversation starters, then you can ask your friends for some support by kind of gamifying things. There's a game that we used to play called the money game, where if you were to go to one of your friends and say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you $300 or some amount of money that would hurt for you to lose. And you say, hey, today when we're hanging out here, I'm going to go try to introduce myself to 3 new groups of people. If I don't, and I chicken out of some, whatever amount of people I don't talk to, you keep that money. So if I talk to 2 people, you keep $100. If I don't talk to anybody, you keep all my money tonight. That pressure to get your money back will usually fuel you to do it, right? At first, people will delay for an hour and they'll be like, I'll do it soon. But then as the night's running out and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to lose $300, all of a sudden you're like, fine, I'll just do it. And you say what's up to people and you push yourself and you just take that initiative. Now, am I saying that this is going to work every time and all your friends are going to be supportive and they're all going to want you to do this and encourage you and join in? Absolutely not. Sometimes they won't. They'll just kind of be like, yeah, whatever. And other times you may have a few friends that tear you down or deter you or make fun of you for this. I want you to know that this isn't about you. If you approach things like we talked about and you're still getting pushback, this is usually because your friends are feeling insecure in those moments. There's a principle in psychology called crab mentality, where if you've ever looked at like crabs in a bucket, like in a seafood bucket that are live, when one crab tries to crawl out, the others will like grab its legs and pull it back down, because it's easier for your friends who can't do this themselves to kind of drag you back to their level than to actually say, I need to challenge myself and drop their egos and elevate themselves. If it's a friend you really care about, you can try to talk to them at least once through it and say, hey, listen, I got to be honest, I don't really like the way you're kind of talking about this. I don't care if you guys do it, and I'm not trying to sound better than anyone. It's just really important to me. And as my friends, I'd love for you to actually be able to support me on this. And if they don't, and they still kind of always rib you and push back and they don't support you, then maybe you realize that they aren't your friends, or they can't be until they overcome those things. And that's the truth, is like, in my own personal development and getting better at meeting people and putting myself out there to date women, I also lost some friends in the process, because they just felt really challenged by this and they couldn't get over that. And as hard as it was in that moment, I realized letting go of those toxic connections who weren't actually there to be friends and support me made my life better. And it allowed room for me meeting other people that were supportive and had that same mindset and wanted to grow. And now I've kept some of my friends from the past, but a lot of my best friends are people I met in the last 10 to 15 years who kind of had that same growth mindset and wanted to better themselves. So I want you to see that if you want to be more social and make friends and go to events and even meet women for dating, that is completely normal and healthy. And the right people in your life will also see it that way and support you to the very end. I hope this inspired you. If it did, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and give it a like. I got your back with more advice coming your way to help you be more social and improve your dating life.